Happy GA Flashback Friday. I hope you guys are having a wonderful start to your weekend. I know I am. I am so excited. It's going to be 75 and sunny. And I just love the sunshine and the warmth. Daydreaming about it already. But anyway, that's not why we're here. We're here for GA Flashback Friday, where we are going to recap one of our old favorite episodes of Ghost Adventures. And today we are doing something that I love, because I love creepy old abandoned hospitals, and that's exactly what we get to talk about. Yay! We are going to go back to the abandoned psychiatric hospital in Northern New Jersey, and boy, oh boy, did this episode did not disappoint on so many levels. But as always, I start with a little bit of brief history about where we are before I get into lockdown breakdown, covering some of our scariest moments, the best evidence collected, funniest moments if they happen to pop up in the episode. And so we are going to get started because we have a lot to cover, and I don't want to ramble for 45 hours. I just hate doing that. And it's Friday, and I want to enjoy my weekend, and rambling for 45 hours is not on the list. And I don't feel like doing it. Okay? Okay. So, the abandoned psychiatric hospital in Northern New Jersey. I know, descriptive, right? But that's what they gave us, because they were not allowed to disclose the actual name or the actual location of the building. Probably for good reason. That place is creepy. Oh, and it's freaking huge. It sits on 90 acres of land and is like, you can access it by like this massive underground tunnel system. And that tunnel system, though, holy kitty cow. It is low ceilings, it is dark, it is wet, creepy, nasty. Did I mention scary, gross? Ugh. It is one of those places that like nightmares are made of. I mean, there's like graffiti on the walls that say death this way. Like there's arrows and just, I can't deal it. Zach even affectionately named it like the Black Brick Road, and I think we can pretty much all agree with him on that. That place was creepy. I could not even, I don't do the dark like with my TV on, so I could not imagine doing the dark, pitch black in a creepy ass tunnel. No. Just no. And not to mention, let's just throw this out there since we all like making fun of my klutzy ass. It's got low ceilings and crap laying around everywhere. I would kill myself. I would never come back from that. You would never see me again. There would be no more videos because I would be dead. I just couldn't come back from something like that. So I'm just not even going to chance it. Not on my top 10 list of places to visit before I die. Anyway, my ADD is really bad today, so you're just going to have to just roll with the punches today. The hospital was opened in 1872 when the county decided to place all of their mentally unstable and criminally insane within the county instead of like shipping them off to the state mental hospital. And then in 1895, it was expanded to the Hill buildings, which is what people see there now. And this place was like a city within a city, because you have to remember back in those days when someone was born mentally ill or with a birth defect, or they were criminally insane, or they just went off the deep end, they were kind of just locked away with the keys, like just chucked into the river. I mean, they was just lock away, throw away the key. Because they were ashamed of their family. They were an embarrassment to society. They weren't something that fit the mold of the time. And so they let them rot pretty much in these places. And so these places were huge because they needed to function as their own city, because they weren't allowed to go out in society. There just wasn't a understanding. It was very new and very unheard of and very unknown and very scary for people, and so they just did what they thought was safe, and that was treat them like prisoners and treat them like criminals and treat them like they did something wrong. And with that came barbaric treatment. They were subjected to like shock therapy and diathermics, which is basically like putting electrodes on your brain to try to stimulate your brain to normalcy. Hydrotherapy, where they were doused with like lukewarm water during like a crazy, like a fit, like a temper tantrum, if you will, or they were just having like a mental breakdown. They would douse them in water just to try to get them to calm down, and it probably only made it worse. Like, you're traumatizing someone who's already traumatized. They're living with demons in their own head, and now they have to deal with these real demons in the world trying to make them feel worthless and sick and stupid, and it's just sad. It's just depressing. There are over 10,000 documented deaths at this place. Are you kidding? 10,000 people died at this place through various causes. That is the breeding ground for something creepy and haunted. These people were sick. They were lost in their own head. They were lonely. They were scared. And they are going to try to stay and make themselves known in any way they can. And boy, oh boy, do they ever. I knew from the evidence that they got from eyewitnesses and from the information they got, this was going to be one hell of a lockdown. And I was right. So speaking of lockdown, it is time for the newest addition to GA Flashback Friday, which is the lockdown breakdown. Now, I did this last week for the first time, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's just a quick, easy, simple overview of some of my favorite parts of the episode so that I don't leave any of my favorites out so that I can share them with you and then I don't feel like I'm rambling for 45 hours. So I'm going to keep doing it because when I find something that works, I just kind of roll with it. So the first part of Lockdown Breakdown is the best evidence collected. Now this was an EVP breeding ground. I don't know what the heck it was. There was knocking and door slams and things like that, but this was nutso. You could hear things just with your own ears, on your own audio. There was no EVPs needed, even though they got some. They got girls giggling and laughing and dancing and singing and freaking saying hello, and it was crystal clear hello. I flipped. I was like, are you kidding me? No. If I would have heard that with my own ears and not on a digital recorder, I would have peed my pants. That's not okay. That's not acceptable. I'm glad for the evidence. I'm glad you made yourself known, but you did nothing for my blood pressure or my heart because now I'm having a heart attack. They also got one of the coolest pieces of evidence, which was they were going down into the tunnels and Zach was standing there with his night vision and you could see his shadow from the other guys' night vision cameras or whatever. And Zach was just standing there. Everybody was standing perfectly still, and all of a sudden, you see this little ball of light shoot down, and then all of a sudden there's this hand that pops out from behind Zach. Oh, hell no. And you can see Zach instantly freak out, grab his arm, and he goes on to say that he could feel someone grabbing him, it was getting super, super cold. And this hand was clear as day. It was just straight up hand. I was like, are you kidding me? That also gets the award for the best piece of evidence in the show because it was unbelievably creepy. It was so clear. It was so defined. You could tell it didn't even look like a normal hand. It almost had a claw-like feature to it. It was just creepy and weird. And I remember seeing that for the very first time when the first time I ever watched that episode. And I thought, oh my God. I was always a believer to an extent of the paranormal. I've always been that way from very little, from when I was teeny tiny. But to see something like that just confirms everything that you already thought you knew. And you just don't even know. You're just left shaking your head and kind of rendered speechless because you're thinking, how can that even be possible? That's scary. Oh, hell no. No. And so that is not only one of the best pieces of evidence, it also gets the best evidence award for the episode. Now, one other thing that happened that kind of was a contender for best piece of evidence was at the very end of the episode, you see this little ball of light kind of go around Nick, bounce kind of off his vest or whatever, and kind of hover and then go back up and kind of go up the side of his face. And shortly after that, Nick's face gets really, really red and swollen, and it's almost like someone has slapped him in the face. And you can actually see the outline of a handprint on his face. Again, we don't need to be violent. Why are you slapping people? I get that you're pissed off and upset that you're locked up in this crazy house, but you cannot go off and just hit people. Rude. So that was some of the best evidence they collected. Now, the Zach sees hand is also one of the scariest moments of the show because of the way Zach simply reacts. It was one of those situations where Zach was so freaked out that everybody kind of freaked out. Zach was like, oh my God. And so I literally went, oh my God, and freaked out because if Zach's wigging out, chances are something bad just happened. And even though we may or may not get to see exactly what happened or what he experienced, it was still there and you still just fed off of that energy. You're tense anyway when you watch these freaking shows, and then for something like that to happen, you just literally go and freak out. And I about fell off the bed. Like, I've seen that episode probably a good 10 or 15 times in my day, and I still, every time he does that, I just leap off of this bed. Another scary moment was, ignore that. Wow, I thought I had my audio off. Okay. God, people leave me alone. And that wasn't even from Facebook. That was just a text message that I happened to get on my computer. Huh. Nice to get sidetracked. Rude. Like I was saying, another scary moment is they all discover the morgue, and Zach, in true Zach fashion, looks at Nick and is like, hey, how about you get in that bin, like the cell thingy that they put the dead bodies in? And he's like, okay. They literally lock him in there. And he's all okay with it for like the first 10 minutes. And then he starts hearing stuff, and then he hits like a wave of cold air over him, and all of a sudden it's not so much fun anymore, and he freaks out. Okay, first of all, I would have never went in there in the first place. I have claustrophobia. That is not okay. That is, no. If you lock me in with something like that, I will cry and probably vomit. So, again, not on my top 10 list of things I want to do before I die, but he freaked out. He is kicking the door. He's screaming. Then, to make matters worse, Aaron and Zach get like lost in the building, and they can't find him. So now he's locked in there for like over an hour. He can't breathe. He's freaking out. No. Scary, scary, scary. Not gonna happen. So on the tail of a scary moment, we will leave you with a funny one. And there will not always be a funny moment on GA Flashback Friday, but today there was a funny moment, and poor Nick. Poor Nick. So they're there at the beginning of lockdown, and they have to wear respirator masks because there's like black mold and asbestos everywhere. And they're in pitch black darkness, and Aaron has his night vision camera on Zach and Nick, and he's like, Zach's explaining why they have to wear the masks and things like that, and he goes to look for Nick, who he thinks is like farther away than he is, and he's like, do you have your mask on? And literally pokes him in the eyes, like both of them. I giggled, I laughed. It's not funny. It shouldn't be funny, but the fact that it was just like one of those moments where it was totally unintended, and he gets hurt. It's just kind of funny. And of course, Aaron laughs, and Aaron's laugh is contagious. So when Aaron laughs, you kind of all laugh. And so I wanted to leave you guys with a lighthearted little moment. Like I said, it was a pretty epic lockdown. They had a lot of really great evidence. It's obviously insanely freaking haunted. There's no doubt about that at all. It was just one of those lockdowns that you live to see on Ghost Adventures. And so it had a lot of great evidence. I really enjoyed it. I love creepy abandoned hospitals. Did I mention that already? But that's all I have for GA Flashback Friday. I will be back on Monday for GA Recap Monday, when I recap the newest episode of Ghost Adventures Aftershocks. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy, stay warm, have a wonderful, fantastic, amazing weekend. I know I'm going to. Much love and happiness. Bye!